Dark Souls.
I love this series with a passion, especially the first game. I know for a fact I'm not the only one who loves it, because these games are widely regarded as some of the best games ever made. Not only are they incredible games, they have also made such a huge impact on the gaming industry as a whole, spawning its own genre known as the Souls-like genre. It's a pretty stupid name, I know. As much as I love Dark Souls and I want more of it, I fucking hate most of these Souls-like games. Like, none of them try and expand on the Souls games they're inspired by. They usually just take the whole, our game is hard, guys, look, our game is hard, you die fast gimmick.
Oh, I'm dead! Of course!
A good example of a terrible Souls-like is Code Vein. I'm pretty sure the only thing this game does differently to Dark Souls, despite being fucking awful, is the fact it has the most degenerate anime art style, which isn't consistent at all with everything else in the game. It just... What the hell were they thinking with this? Enough about Code Vein though. Instead, let's look at the best example of a Souls-like game. A game that takes the formula of Dark Souls and expands on it in so many different ways that makes it stand out above the rest. That game being Nioh. Well, specifically Nioh 2.
Nioh this, Nioh that. You've been talking about Nioh so much recently. I mean, does anyone really care about this game?
Listen here, Mr. Andre Pung Young. You have 900 hours in Nioh, so yeah, shut up and help me out here.
Okay.
I'm gonna be focusing specifically on Nioh 2 rather than the original in this video. See, the original Nioh clearly set the ground rules for the mechanics they wanted to add to the whole Souls-like genre, but the sequel is just that game but more. It kind of makes the original obsolete. Nioh 2 is a third-person loot-based action RPG developed by Team Ninja. These folks are formerly known for Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, which people clearly play for the fighting gameplay.
I don't exactly think it's a coincidence that you can kind of play this game with one hand.
Andre, what the fuck? You know, sometimes it's best to just not talk, you know? Unlike in those two games, Nioh 2 takes a lot of elements from Dark Souls, such as the stamina-based combat, stat-based leveling, a bonfire-esque checkpoint system, and a tough but fair difficulty. At least sometimes. It has what a typical Souls-inspired game would have, however, Nioh 2 doesn't just take these mechanics, it expands on them. To begin with, the combat in Nioh 2 is so much more in-depth than any Dark Souls game. It has a stance system which allows the player to strategize in combat and make almost every encounter feel unique. There are 3 different stances you can use. For starters, you got the basic mid stance, which is just all around good. You swing decently fast and you deal a moderate amount of damage. You can quite easily get through the entire game just using this stance, but if you do that, you're basically just Darkside Phil. And I mean, do you really want to be compared to that guy?
Do you see why this game sucks?
You also have a low stance, which is insanely good for fast DPS swings with your weapon. Using this stance also gives you a fast low stamina dodge and is great for building up status effects on enemies. The final stance is my favourite one, the high stance. This allows you to do slow overhead hard-hitting attacks which are always super satisfying to use. It's also super effective for hitting the weak spot on harder enemies, which are always clearly indicated with a yellow glow.
On top of these stances, there's also an involved stamina management system. After every attack, some of your lost stamina, referred to as ki, is marked with red, and this will slowly fill up with white. If you do nothing, you lose your stamina. Simple enough, right? However, if you time a specific button press with the filling of the red with white, you perform a so-called ki pulse, regaining the stamina marked with the white. This one mechanic makes the combat both calculated and aggressive. Simply mashing the attack button is heavily discouraged, and remembering to ki pulse can extend the length of your combos tenfold. This is important for punishing enemies that have run out of ki. That's right, you can see your enemy's stamina bar. You can further up your ki pulse game by unlocking the ability to regain more ki by switching stances during a ki pulse. Perhaps you feel like ki pulsing by dodging. There's even a specific weapon type that can make the ki pulse itself a dodge maneuver, which you can lead into an unstaggerable combo. Yeah, the combat in this game is kind of sweet.
The enemies in Nioh are based off of yokai from Japanese folklore. Every single enemy has an extremely intimidating design. Team Ninja, I know you made Dead or Alive, but come on now, you need to have some restraint. The weak spots that I mentioned earlier never feel shoehorned in. They always fit the design of the yokai. Despite the yokai basically being demons, not all of them are evil. You have some, like the Scampus, which is an absolute cutie. Look at this little munchkin. Oh god, damn, what the fuck? Once an enemy yokai has been killed, there's a rare chance that they drop these things called soul cores. These allow you to use their own attacks against them, and honestly they're quite awesome. I don't really have anything else to say about them, they're just a really cool mechanic. But some are clearly better than others.
What the fuck?
You know, talking about the yokai reminds me that your character in Nioh is actually a yokai. Oh no wait, sorry. A shiftling. What kind of name is that? What the hell? Your character can turn into a yokai when their Amrita gauge is built up. It's like a devil trigger type thing. You become invulnerable for a set amount of time and you just completely demolish enemies. Wait, no, never mind. This is Nioh. I forgot. Oh my god. You can choose between 3 different yokai forms. Brute, which is the hard-hitting one. I mean, it's in the name, isn't it? Feral, which is the speedy weeby one, but I mean, this is a Japanese-based game, wouldn't that make me weeby too for playing it? And finally, my personal favorite, Phantom, which is like a semi-projectile form, and you can hover in this form too, which is just kind of epic, you know? Each form has a unique parry-style move, which is called a burst counter. You have to time it with enemy and boss attacks, which have a red indicator just before the animation. Each form has a unique version of the burst counter. The brute one is a delayed attack type thing, which is mainly used to interrupt attacks, and the feral one makes you dart forward.
Actually, you can dart in any direction. Serves as a good dodge for sticky situations.
The phantom one lets you parry on the spot, which in my opinion is easily the most effective. I'm not biased. It's objectively the best one, it just makes the most sense, come on. This mechanic is genuinely such a lifesaver in sticky situations. Wait, hold on a second. I've just realized I've gone this long without talking about one of the biggest things in Nioh and any Souls-like game, the weapons. There are multiple weapons to use in Nioh 2, and they chose the Bloodborne route where basically every weapon is useful and insanely unique, and every single weapon is an absolute joy to use in their own way. They also have insanely unique feels to them, each with their own takedown animations and skill trees. There are even bare-handed unique skills you can unlock in Nioh. Like, look at this parry, which I cannot do for shit in the moment, but hey, I bet it would look cool if I could. Even usable items have their own skill trees in this game. Like, holy shit, the combat is so in-depth.
Oh, there's skills aplenty. Combo extensions, parries, buffs. You can almost freely assign these to each stance, and you can even give most of these skills a unique trait.
It's not all amazing though. Nothing is perfect. The game doesn't take place in one big interconnected world like Dark Souls. Instead, it's laid out in a level-based structure with side quests. I'm personally not the biggest fan of this, but I guess it makes it easier to farm for loot from certain bosses. I feel like it also impacts the story because a lot of fairly important shit is told to you in a little text box just before starting a side mission, which is completely optional. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't think anyone cares about the story in either of the Nioh games.
But Mr. Proxidist! William Adams! William Adams!
Listen, Andre, you can like the story all you want, but like, it's pretty badly told, you can't deny. Speaking of the loot though, the game has a really in-depth loot system. It's not like in Dark Souls where if you're lucky, you can pick up literal shit from a dead enemy.
Nom nom nom.
In Nioh, enemies are loot pinatas. Loot in the game is color-coded by its rarity, with white being the most common and orange being the rarest. The loot system in this game is genuinely incredible. It really does add to the replayability of the game, because you'll want to grind occasionally so you can make a cool build. The system isn't perfect though, at times it can feel kind of tedious to deal with. I'm currently in New Game +++, I think. And enemies are still dropping fucking white items that just clog up my inventory and it's so fucking irritating. I mean, it's a great system regardless, and it really adds to the whole build variety of the game for your character. You can make so many builds in Nioh, it's actually quite insane. The game has co-op too. Everyone knows everything is better with friends. Even prodding shit with a stick is fun with friends. I don't know how co-op couldn't even save Code Vein then. The co-op in Nioh is way easier to set up compared to the Souls series. Whilst I do appreciate how it works in Dark Souls with it making sense in the lore and universe or whatever, it can be a bit tedious to set up, especially in Dark Souls 2. Fuck soul memory. In Nioh 2, there are 2 options for co-op. You get it too? Nioh 2?
Sam, I could strangle you.
The first one is the Expedition mode. This is where you can set up a room with 2 other friends and do almost every mission together. The unique thing about this is you all have a shared health bar, which auto-fails the mission once it's fully out. You can even revive each other. It's honestly pretty neat. It makes it way easier to introduce the game to newcomers compared to Dark Souls. It's also a unique experience because the amount of enemies and levels increases if you play on this mode.
Just a fair warning though, co-op can become very chaotic. Might make it difficult to fully absorb how epic the game's combat really is.
The other co-op mode you can do is be a random summon for someone. Doing this is such a good time killer. Not only are you helping random people struggling in the game, but you're also benefiting yourself by acquiring new loot and experience to level up your character. Helping others is genuinely an effective way to grind in this game. If you die in this mode though, there isn't a shared health bar or a revive system, so if you die, you're dead for good and booted out of the game. So in conclusion, listen here developers. If you want to make a game inspired by Dark Souls, take notes from how Team Ninja made Nioh, because this game is honestly incredible. If I was to rank this game amongst the Dark Souls games, I'd definitely put it somewhere here. Dark Souls 1 will easily always be unmatched for me until Bloodborne comes to PC, but I prefer it over Dark Souls 2 and 3 quite easily. You should all play Nioh 2, and there's no excuse now because it came to PC recently, so yeah, you should go play it.